Hello. Sometimes even stoners will stop to smell the roses. Society seems to adjust to the times, and Nevada County is finally coming to grips with the epidemic proportions of methamphetamine use in the area. This is not for the homeless, jobless, and indigent only. It also affects our middle-class workforce and professionals in all walks of life. This drug is a cancer among us. It takes healthy, happy, well-adjusted humans and turns them into raging, paranoid, sketchy, thoughtless, weightless, toothless zombies who will steal, cheat, and infect others with their habit and need for the drug. Even tweakers like company. And if they can persuade others to share their world, they will. We have heard many stories about 2 or 3 months clean, almost out of jail users that are cured, but I would like to hear from users clean 10 years or more, as I would believe those stories speak to the problem of real recovery better than some short-term recovery confession, as this might just be a way of getting out of jail. Anyone who will take a 14-year-old girl and teach them to use needles needs to be in jail. Anyone who sends their children to school to sell their home-cooked meth to students needs to be in jail. Anyone who manufactures any quantity of this substance needs to go to jail. Punishment must fit the crime, and this crime against us is serious. A lot of focus has been done on the poor user who needs treatment. It is true that many users who hit rock bottom and see a light to recover need a helping hand, but I do not believe that users who will tell you anything you want to hear to avoid conflict or jail, but turn right around and use, are subjects for sympathy. My advice to users: own up to what you are, and if you make the decision to stop, then seek treatment and make a real effort without being pressured into it from the legal side. Be your own meth police. If you really want to quit, then disassociate yourself from all those so-called friends who use with you. If this means moving to another town and starting over, then do it. Your life is what you make of it, and it's never too late to stop. If you rob, cheat, steal, and lie to support your habit, don't just blame it on the drug. Your character is what your own decisions mold. So make a new decision and take that step back to sanity. My drug of choice might not have been methamphetamines, but I've been there and come back. I just look like I stayed there. Yes, it's been 20 years clean and sober. Well, actually it's 30. I'm not an addict. I was. What can be done, you ask? Everyone knows the problems. It's a solution that are needed, and here are a couple of ideas. Neighborhood watches, town hall meetings, communications between public and law enforcement, like the tip line, 530-265-4178. Education, explain just how bad meth ruins the lives of users and all people they contact. Quit sending mixed messages by being half drunk and smoking a cigarette while telling someone to stop taking other drugs. Substance abuse can also include marijuana, smoking, alcohol, prescription drugs, designer drugs, coke, heroin, etc. Some drugs' effects are not as a big issue, but the association and the access to harder drugs by the interaction with the dealers and peer pressure is. Treatment. Let users know that we will help them revive their lives with programs and community support, with options to help them cope with fighting addiction, if they are really ready to make an effort to stop. Sometimes it's hard for users to understand that they have a disease and need treatment. Families with 2 or 3 generation problems of substance abuse need to seek help, especially to not let the youngest generation follow in the same footsteps as the older ones. Strong message to all manufacturers and dealers of this death: we aren't going to take it anymore. You can check out talk.to/crimewatch on the web. We need our youth to help us communicate with the youth who ignore us. If you strongly believe in the fact that any type of substance in excess can be abusive, and you have forgotten what those joys are, then go to the nearest garden and smell the roses. God really does have a plan. Life can be hella good without dope. And Prop 36, A Road to Recovery, nobody can agree that methamphetamines is the worst drug abused in our society. The old solution was to lock everyone up, but after a few decades of building more jails and filling them with drug addicts, we began to wonder, is there another way? People went to jail and did their time. They then fell back into the same patterns of drug use, only to be arrested again and again. This is called recidivism. Law enforcement has had an unfortunate job of spending a very high percentage of their time dealing with minor drug offenses. People who have addictions need more than just incarceration to solve their problems. They need recovery and to be shown a way to return to society. Some drug users are robbers and burglars and have other problems besides drug addiction. These individuals end up being locked up for the other types of criminal charges. Other users are your next-door neighbor, the guy working at the gas station, the girl doing your hair at a salon, or kids working at a fast food restaurant. These are not career criminals, and this is where the big problem lies. If you take an everyday person with a drug use problem and lock them up with common criminals, they are introduced to a career of criminals. If you take a drug user and introduce them to a program to treat their addiction, it could possibly cure it. The former drug user could return back into society as a functional person. Prop 36 is born. We had a good program in Nevada County called Project Jumpstart, thanks to Bill McNamara. One of the reasons it was successful was that inmates who entered the program were released into recovery programs in other counties. Most of them stayed in their new locations after their completion to avoid the old associations they had when they were on drugs in Nevada County. Some people think marijuana is the gateway to the drug underworld, and they're right. We made it illegal and put it in a class with all the other street drugs, and then made movies like Reefer Madness to spread lies about what it is, what it does, and how your life would be ruined by it. The problem is marijuana is a plant that does have some medicinal value, and even if it's only to give cancer patients an appetite. If marijuana had always been a prescription herb, the regulations by the government people would go to the legal drug dealers, the doctors, and not end up with the street dealers who might eventually introduce them to harder drugs such as cocaine, heroin, and meth. If the pharmaceutical companies regulated marijuana and produced enough so the price was regulated at a low cost, then it would take a big bite out of crime. Drugs are big business worldwide, and if all smuggling and drug operations were stopped, what would the task force do? Sometimes I think keeping things the same as before is really just some sort of job security. To take it one step further, if you legalize all street drugs and made them Class 3 drugs, had the pharmaceutical companies manufacture them, and impose large taxes on them, you'd take the cartels out of the drug business. You could also funnel these taxes collected into recovery programs and towards the education of society on effects of drug addiction. Our society sends too many conflicting messages to the next generation. We have drugstores, over-the-counter legal drugs like beer and wine and cigarettes, so why not smoke pot? We should put some teeth in Prop 36. The last laws added to it have done some of that, but we need more. To return to the Stone Age of catch, hold, and jail and release is not good. It's not a good idea. Support Prop 36 and recovery. Support drug education for our preteens like the 40 Assets program being introduced by Nevada County Substance Abuse Advisory Board. Thank you.